Cool. I'm about to get started here. Sweet. Okay, cool. Can you hear me? All right. Does it matter if I keep you on speakerphone or not, or like, I don't know.
I think you can still hear me on my side, so you guys don't have to hear me.
Okay, yeah. Mute your side and we'll be good to go. All right, awesome. So, welcome to how to get new construction listings. I'm super excited to be here and teach the class. I know that Mike's the master of this. He knows, he's been doing this forever. He would, before I think he even got into doing stuff with RCI, he would find the land and just bring other builders in and kind of work neighborhoods that way. He'd find the land. I guess back then, subdividing land was a lot easier than it is today. So you get in, subdivide a bunch of land, and then they would bring, a couple builders in to build the houses for it, and they would just get all the listings. And they had their builders that they worked with. And now they have their building company, and they really just try to work that and sell their own homes. Hey, Judy. So step one with the new construction is obviously you got to find the land. You got to identify good land, and really the people who get all those listings are the people that bring the land to the builders. So step number one, obviously, we need to identify lots. So I know Russ went around me on a little road trip, and we were out there looking for lots of land. Really what you're looking for and what builders want are the smaller 1 to 10 or 15 acre lots that are already subdivided, they have road frontage, and they're kind of ready to go and ready to be built on. They're not swampy, just good building lots. If you can find 12 of those a year and flip over to builders, then you're kind of got something going. The larger tracts, 50 acres, 100 acres, they could be good. If they're able to be subdivided, there's just a lot more work that goes into that. And it usually takes longer for you to kind of reap the benefits of the new construction. It's got to go through, subdivision and all that. You want to be looking for those, but you really want to hone in on the smaller lots that just have road frontage. $30,000 to $90,000. Builders will buy up those all day long if they can pop a new construction on it and not have to do really any engineer work besides maybe get a survey done of it and do some soil work, and then boom, you're ready to go. So you want to identify good lots. So once you have a lot in mind, you do this by sending letters. I send a lot of letters, and I call landowners, or I'll say pop by. So sending letters is one of the best ways, I think. You can get a lot more out, you make a lot more touches, a lot more asks that way, and they have a shelf life. I got a call the other day from a lady in Goochland, and she was like, yeah, I got a letter from you and Mike a few years ago, and we're just kind of now getting around to it. I did some research. I see you guys are a reputable company, and I just wanted to give you a call now. We're now thinking about selling, and I just wanted to see what you guys thought about it. So that's the good thing about sending a letter, is it has shelf life. They receive this letter and they're like, oh, well, I'll hold on to this, and when it's time, I'll give this person a call. Sometimes if you find their phone number, I use truepeoplesearch.com. You can find phone numbers that way. I know Jeff has another app that he uses. You're pretty good at finding phone numbers.
Yeah, Deal Machine, but it's
Deal Machine.
It's not free. It's not a cheap app.
Right. So you got to pay for Deal Machine. White Pages, I think you can also pay to get phone numbers on White Pages, but finding phone numbers is pretty good. If it's a real good piece of land and they're out of town, then I 100% send a letter, but maybe I try to find their phone number and call them as well. If you know it's something that your builder would want. So find the land, step one, or I'll pop by if they live somewhere local. Maybe I'm out driving around in Louisa and I see that they live in Mechanicsville but own land in Louisa. Well, then maybe I'll go by and bring a tax record with me and knock on their door and ask them, right? There's lady who lives in my neighborhood who owns like a 10-acre piece in Caroline. I was driving by, I was like, oh my gosh, this road is, I can see her house from my house. And so I went and, I was on my Onyx hunt, saw she owned it, saw she lived on, I forget, Wanda, whatever was the road she lived on. I'm like, well, my road is like right perpendicular to hers. So I went over there. She invited me inside, sat on her couch, talked to her, kind of schmoozed her up a little bit. She wasn't interested in selling, but that's another way that you can do it. You can go drive to them and just pop in and see them. Kind of you need to have the mindset of hunting these lots down and hunting the sellers down and asking, because you never know. A lot of these people inherit land. That's another thing. Like, what's the demographic of the people that own land? They're probably older. Maybe they're a little bit younger and inherited it. That's another reason why the letters work pretty good. But
Do you go through tax records to find?
tax records,
That's
yeah.
That's what I was gonna say, how do you identify who the owner of the property is? Where do you go to find that out?
So I use an app called Onyx Hunt. So Onyx Hunt is my driving around app. You have it on your phone. If you're driving down a good road, you're driving down Scotchtown Road in Hanover, and you're like, man, this road is beautiful. There's a lot of open farmland, there's some wooded sections, there's not really a lot of swamps on it, and it's all pretty level. I think Scotchtown Road is a great road. Let me go back to you can either, have it up on your phone while you're driving, and start identifying pieces of property, while you're in the car, or if you don't want to pull over and do that, or do it while you're driving, which can be a little dangerous, then you can just remember Scotchtown Road is good. Let me go back to my computer. You can, in the MLS, you can either go into Realist or the public record search, pull up Scotchtown Road, and then see and find all the vacant pieces of property along that road. And the tax record will tell you the owner's name and their mailing address, what the property is assessed for. Some counties is even good. They'll have like little notes. Like, I've seen a piece of property where I thought was good, and in the notes it says does not perk, which is, maybe I don't want to send one that they already know doesn't perk, right? It's kind of a waste. So tax records are the big thing. I'm in the tax records every day looking for property and trying to find owners. The out of town owners are really good. Like, if you live in South Carolina and you own land in Hanover, then you really probably don't have a lot of connection to it. So those are the good ones to find. I do like the people that are local, because then you can work them for more business and more referrals later on. If they live in South Carolina, it's kind of like a one and done deal. But if you're flipping it over to your builder, then you kind of get that side of it. That's another thing about doing the lots, is a lot of times you can get dual agent on it and get double the commission. Any land that's worth under $100,000, I always tell them 10% commission. 10% commission is kind of what we do. If they really hum and haw, then I might back it down, give a phone call later, like, hey, we can bump it down a little bit. But I always try to get the 10 out the gate, because why not? You can always ask and see what they say.
The
Some people
seller?
do what?
The seller or the builder?
The seller. Seller always pays commission, right?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times, you get paid whatever commission you work out with the seller. As long as they net what they want at the end of the day, then they're happy. So you can make it work. Now, you don't want to jack up the price on your builder, right? And have him pay,
Right.
what the difference would be. So you kind of need to be a little bit strategic in how you structure that, the commission side of it. But after you identify some good lots, number 2 is you want to find a builder. You guys probably don't have builders that you're working with yet. So finding a good builder is key. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can find people that are building. Number 1, you can go around, and if someone's building a new house, they probably have their company sign in front. So you see, oh my gosh, there's Blue Ridge Homes, and they have a Blue Ridge Homes sign in front of a new house that they're building, and you can obviously tell they're a builder. Looks like they're building on a singular lot out here, and they might buy lots and build houses that way, which is the kind of builder that I'm looking for. If you got a big custom home builder where they're just building giant homes, that might not be a good one. That they might not pick up like the spot lots like we're trying to find. But some of the smaller builders are kind of key. They stamp out the 1,500 square foot ranches. Those are kind of the ones that you're looking for. A lot of smaller ones. I got a builder up in Caroline, and they just stamp out, they got pretty much one floor plan, and they just stamp out a 1,200 square foot ranch style home. It's beautiful, and we've sold a few of them so far, and like, I'm their guy, you know? So you wanna find the builder. You can do this by seeing their sign. If you go into MLS, you can filter all new construction. So you want to kind of pick an area for your lots. You know, let's say Powhatan, for example. You find a lot in Powhatan. You don't really want to tell your builder about it until you probably get that lot listed, or you have a verbal agreement with the seller on what they'll take for it. Because if you just call up the builder and say, hey, I got a lot, and you don't really have a price, you don't have all the details, well then you don't really have anything. So you want to, if you can list it, that's key, getting it listed. When you get listing paperwork signed, you have 3 days before it has to go into MLS. I always try to get the listing paperwork signed, and then in those 3 days before I have to put it in MLS, I'm calling my builders, trying to get them to jump on it early before the rest of the world knows about this piece of land that's going to be hitting the market, right? So I kind of use those 3 days as buffer time to try to put a deal together myself before another agent can swoop in with their builder, right?
So if you put a deal in before it goes in MLS, it still has to go in MLS?
Yes, you do have to put it in MLS by the 3rd day, and if you get a contract, then you can pretty much pin it immediately.
I got you.
But yeah, you do. And putting it in MLS is, you know, it helps the comps in the area. So if you get, you know, a good deal on a piece of land, you know, now you can use that as a comp when you're talking to other landowners in the area. Hey, I just sold this one right down the street from you. It was 9 acres. We sold it for $55,000, and you have a 3-acre lot. I know you said you wanted 65. The comps in the area are showing that's probably above market value, given that I just sold one for 55 that was bigger right down the road. Why do you think it's worth so much more? You know, see what they say. You might be able to work them down on that price a little bit and get your builder a better deal. So in MLS, you can search for just new construction listings. And this one will take a little bit of research, but you can see who is the owner of the property, right? You don't really want to call it an agent unless it's a hometown agent and you want to get their permission to use their builder, but you can see who the owner is, and a lot of times that's the builder's name. So then you know, search up the builder, try to find a phone number for them, and call them. And the talk track, when you find a builder, is if I bring you, hey Mr. Builder, are you looking for lots in the area? Are you currently trying to buy lots to build new homes on? A lot of times they'll say, yeah, we're always looking to buy land. Well, if I bring you the lot, will you let me list the new construction home you put on it? If I bring you the lot, will you let me list the new home? So that's pretty much key. If they say, no, we got an agent we work with, they handle all of our new construction listings, then you say, all right, well, sounds good, I'll take my lot somewhere else. And then, you know that builder's not gonna be your partner on it. So if they say, yeah, sure, I'll let you list the new construction, well then you got something, right? So you find the builder, you identify the lot, and then you pretty much match it up at that point. Yes, ma'am.
Do you get that in writing, or you just take their word for it?
I take the word for it, and a lot of times you might have a builder that screws you over. Maybe they list it with someone else later down the line, and then you just know, never bring that builder any more lots and land ever again because they're not trustworthy. Now, when you find your builder, a way you can prove to them that you're the right person to list the house is, number one, you can go preview their property, preview their homes. Hey, if I'm gonna be selling your home, I wanna kinda know what I'm selling. Do you have anything that you're building that I can take a tour through, walk through? I wanna be an expert of your product. Give me all the information, and so when I list this house, I wanna kinda be geared up and ready to go for it. So preview their house. A lot of, one of the things that I did was I went and I told the builder that, hey, can I come by with lunch, and I just wanna talk to you about what I do, what you do, and how we can best help each other grow our business. So I know, hey, Mr. Builder, I know you're busy. I'm gonna come by with Panera, tell me your order. I'll pick it up, bring it to your office, and maybe check out a lot of people have like showrooms at their office, a lot of builders. So let me check out your showroom, let me see what you got, let me see your operation, and I can see how we can best help each other. So then you're kind of already, you know, involving yourself and showing that you're wanting to learn about their process. A lot of builders are different, they handle things a little bit differently. So you kind of, if you're like showing that you're committed and you want to be involved in their process, you want to be their guy, then they'll, you know, they'll let you do their new construction. So some builders work with multiple real estate agents. You know, whoever brings me the lots, normally who I list it with. Those builders are fine to work with too. If you start bringing them a bunch of stuff, then maybe you can, you know, earn that seat, that kind of deal. So that's kind of the builder side of it. And then obviously number 3, you get the lot deal, and later down the road they list the new construction with you. So you really get 2 deals for every deal, right? The lot deal, you know, this one's going to be like a smaller commission, and then the new construction is where, you know, you get your big paycheck on that. So I'm going to take a step back and come back here to identifying the lots. Once you get a landowner to respond to you off one of these letters, or you call them, or you do a pop by and they say they're interested, the process from there is basically, I have a list of questions that I ask them. Questions are, number 1, if they have a plat or survey. That's very important. Try to get a plat or survey if you can. If there's any soil work that they have done on the property, ask them, hey, have you done any soil work on the property? What kind of septic does it perk for, alternative or conventional, is important. Some builders, I have a builder, they won't mess with anything with alternative septic, they only want conventional septic. Other builders might be more open to alternative septic if the numbers work, right? Alternative septic is just a lot more expensive. So normally it devalues the lot, you gotta educate the lot owner on that. Hey, your alternative septic, your lot's gonna be worth less than these other lots in the area that are comparable but perk for conventional, right? So you kind of need to know kind of the talk track with that. If they have alternative septic, ask them if you can walk the property, go out there, walk it, take pictures, take videos of it. If it's a bigger piece that has a lot of road frontage, you may be inclined to call the planning department for whatever county it's located in and ask the planner, hey, can this lot be subdivided at all? You know, maybe you can cut off a few lots right on the road if it's got a lot of road frontage. Is it hilly? Is it level? If a lot is hilly or sloping, that's gonna jack up price for the new construction home because you gotta build a bunch of foundation on one side to kind of keep the house, you know, level from the first floor. Or it may be a basement lot. Basements do add a lot of costs to the build. Even an unfinished basement can cost, you know, 40, 50, 60 grand, you know, so that jacks up the price for the new home they gotta build on it. Let's see what other questions am I missing. If it's been timbered, if there's any, you know, timber value on it, you can ask them that if they know. How recently was it timbered? And the most important question, Mr. Landowner, how much do you want for your property? And a lot of times they're not going to give you a straight up answer. You know, well, how much do you think it's worth? You know, it's kind of one of those negotiation battles. And from there, you kind of want to get a range to see if it's even worth your time going out there to look at it. You know, if you got a 1 acre lot in Essex and they want $150,000 for it, well then it's probably not worth going out there and looking at it, unless it's like waterfront or something like that. If they don't tell you what it's worth, then what I do to kind of get them to kind of get a gauge on what they take for it, well then I go to the assessed value. Hey, well I see it's assessed at $65,000, is that something you consider? And they might be, no, I was thinking a lot more. Well, you know, I kind of play the game. 100,000, would you take 100,000 for it? Is that kind of the range you're thinking? Or 75 to 100? Sometimes I'll throw a range in there and just try to get a feel for what they take for it. Is pretty key. So then once you do that, you go out there. If you think it's gonna be a good opportunity, take a look at it, come back. You wanna do your CMA. So number 1, you ask questions. You do your CMA. You want to go see it. Maybe even go see the other land that's sold in the area to see how it compares to it. Is it level? Is it swampy? You know, is it hilly? All those things come into factor. And then you want to try to close them on something. Now, let's say there's a piece of land and you know you think it's worth like $50,000. Say the comps in the area are showing $50,000. Well, the landowner wants 65 and they only want to take 65,000 for it. Well, that might not be a good one to match up with your builder, because your builder isn't going to buy overpriced lots, right? They want to buy lots at market value. And a lot of landowners, they try to want to get as much as they want for the land, like can't blame them, right? So what you do in that scenario is you list the lot. But not only do you list the lot, you can list a to be built on their property. So if it doesn't roll smooth and you can't match up your builder to it right away, you tell the lot owner, well, seems like you want more than what the market's telling you. I don't think my builder will pay that much for it. What I think we can do to get you the most money for your piece of land is let's list it at 65,000. But not only are we going to list the lot, you can actually have 2 listings for a piece of land in MLS, which is really cool. Not a lot of people know that. You can list a to-be-built home on it. So, hey, Mr. Landowner, I'm going to list your land at $65,000. We're going to charge you 10%, and if we sell it, and I want a 120-day listing agreement, or however long you want it, and in the additional terms, you write, seller agrees to allow builder's home to be advertised for sale on the property, or something along those lines. And then you tell them, not only are we going to list your lot, but we're going to list a to-be-built home on it. Everyone's going to see your lot for sale at $65,000, and they're probably going to think it's overpriced. But if we list a to-be-built home on it, we're going to take my builder who I work with, we're going to price out their home on that piece of land, one of their floor plans, and we're going to get a total package price for the lot and the new home, and we're going to throw that in MLS, and we're going to have our total price, you know, what it would cost that builder to build that home on that piece of land, and we're going to advertise that too. And we sell a lot of overpriced lots this way because it bakes in the lot price and kind of hides it in the total package of the new construction home, right? Does that make sense? Am I making my
It's easier to finance too, because someone may not have be able to finance just land alone, so.
Right, yeah, and then depending on what kind of loan you get, you might not, whoever is the buyer for this whole package might not have to buy the land and then find the builder and do 2 deals that way. A lot of times the builder, once they get a contract for a buyer to build this house on that land, they will buy the land, build the house, and just close one time for the buyer. So it might work out even better on the finance side as well.
So at this point, have you secured the builder that will build on that lot, or is that the buyer's choice?
Yes, so your number one goal in this scenario is to get the lot sold for the landowner.
Right.
Obviously, you want to sell the new home because that's going to be a bigger commission check. But if you have the lot listed and the to-be-built listing, that's just helping get more exposure and get the landowner what he wants for the property. If you have someone come along that really likes the lot and says, hey, I want to pay $65,000 for it and bring my own builder in, well then you do that as well. If they're not represented, well then let's get the lot sold for you and I'll help you buy the lot. Can I represent you on your new construction build as well? You know, and maybe you represent them on working with whatever builder they want. You know, if they already have an agent, then, you know, you might not be able to get that, but I always ask, what builder are you thinking about working with? And then that's another builder that I go and ask the question, hey, I see you're a builder in the area. Do you want to, are you looking for lots? If I bring you lots, will you list your new construction with me? And then boom, you add another builder to your Rolodex. So your goal here is just to get the lot sold for the landowner. You want to get it, you want to get your builder involved, and you want to get the build job for your guy, but your main goal is to get the landowner their lot sold. Yes, ma'am.
So you get it, sold with the builder, right?
Mhm.
They want the full package.
Yep.
So the owner of the land, they do their closing like a normal closing, and then the builder comes in and does everything else and close after the
Mhm.
construction. Is that
Yeah.
kind of how that?
There's a few different ways. Either the buyer can purchase the land and then bring their own builder on it and do like a build on your lot kind of deal.
Mhm.
Or if the builder gets them under contract for a new build, the builder will buy the land. And the builder will build their home on the land that they own and then sell it to the person when they're done. All of it, land and house, everything. So there's two ways that it kind of, you can work it. And depending on the financing, what works better for the buyer, you kind of need to talk to them, and that's the pre-qualification when you get, calls on the lot or the to-be-built home is, hey, you looking to buy the land? Vertical Builders has this land, we haven't priced out a new home on it, are you working with the builder? And you kind of throw your sales pitch, well, Vertical's great, let's go get you in one of their homes, and you really try to sell that. If they already have a builder, then, you kind of, ask them, well, hey, can I represent you on your new build? Let's sell the lot to you. Or let me call your builder and see if they'll buy the lot and do the new build for you that way. And you try to bring, if they wanna work with another builder, try to get them to price it out and do that.
So you got two deals, two possible deals.
Yes,
You've got a deal to sell the land,
yes,
and then you've got a deal and an agreement from a builder that he would put a house on this lot for X number of dollars, whatever kind of house, and you advertise that.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, and a lot of times, if, let's say, they don't want over market value, let's say they're reasonable with what they want on their land, and you can sell it to your builder right away, then your builder owns the lot. You wanna, as soon as they close, you wanna say, hey, let's get a to-be-built listing on this thing. Then you list that builder's house, and then you can only work with that builder, right? A lot of times that builder will only, unless they wanna sell the lot to someone else, a lot of times they wanna sell their house, so then you're just working your builder and getting that house sold for them. I work with a few builders. Number one, they'll buy the land and they'll just price out a home, and then you have to sell the to-be-built.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we don't have anything being built right yet, but go out and look at the lot, and then let's go get you in one of our model homes or another home that we have going up in the area, so you can kind of see the house, go see the lot, and let's go take a look at the house being built. It's that same floor plan you want, and if you like them both, then we just put them together and make something happen, put that house on that lot. You got other builders that will build out spec homes, and a spec home is basically the builder will take the lot, they purchase it, and then they just start building right away. They'll start building, they already pick a floor plan, they pick all the options, and sometimes they'll let you list it right away. Other times they wanna wait till it's a little bit closer to being done before they wanna list it. You'll get a buyer that will come in. A lot of these builders, they're like, I get a buyer that comes in and they're just gonna start telling me, can I move the front door over here? Can I change the cabinet colors over here? Can I add a window over here? And some builders, they don't want to work with that. They don't want to deal with that. So they build the house and complete it, and then you list it. And then those are really the best ones because the product is standing, it's there, you can see it, and that's what you're selling. It's not a vacant lot and the buyer has to envision what the house would look like on it. So a few different ways that you can work that. I like the spec homes. They take a little bit longer because the builder's got to build it before you can start advertising. But you get your sign in the ground, and the house is standing and it's there, and it's a little bit easier to sell that way, I think. So.
But you always get the double commission, which is the goal, right? Commission for the land and the house.
Yes. Yep. You get commission for selling the land to the builder, and then you're the listing agent for the house. And a lot of times you can double end the lot deal because you're finding the land, so you're working with the seller, and you already know the buyer that's going to buy it. So you're just putting the deal together. Boom, putting the deal together. Sometimes it doesn't even have to go in MLS. If you can just get a contract from your builder, maybe the landowner doesn't want to advertise on MLS. Or what you really do, and maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but before you do this, so you kind of go back to your landowner, you've done all these things, you got all the information on the lot, you tell the builder, hey, I've got a piece of land, it's over in this area, here's all the information, send them an email, get all your, if they have plat and soil work, send it all over to them. Tell your builder to go drive by and take a look at it. You go back to the landowner wants, $65,000 for it, the builder only wants to offer 50. You go back to the landowner, hey Mr. Landowner, I have a proposition for you. My guy will buy it for $50,000 cash right now. We'll do, a 30-day study period and a 45-day close or a quick close after that. Here's cash right now, offer on the table for you. Or if you want to hold out for your price, and sometimes with this one, I'll bump the commission down a little bit. Hey, take this offer, we'll charge, 6 or 8% commission if you do this right away, boom. Or we can list it and put it on the market for your price, 65, you charge 10% commission on that. And not only are we gonna list a lot on it, but we're gonna list a to-be-built home, and we're gonna price out a new construction home, bake the lot price into it, and sell the total package, and get you double exposure for your piece of land. So, that sounds pretty good to you, doesn't it? You'll be surprised, a lot of them just go for the cash offer right out the gate, because they don't have to worry about, they want the money now, instead of, do you want the money now, or do you wanna wait, a few months before we maybe find a buyer for it, and kind of get a contract for you that way. A lot of them will just take the cash now, some of them will hold out, and they want to see it listed, if they just have a certain price they just can't get off of. So that's kind of how it works that way. Identify the lots, find a seller, try to match it up with your builder. You want to have a few builders that you snuggle up right near close with, and get them to trust you and know that you're going to do business with them. And then 3, you try to get the lot deal in the new construction. If you can't get the cash offer deal out the gate, then you want to list the lot and list one of your builders to-be-built homes on it. And that's pretty much how it works. That's pretty much how it works. And then this step is the most important. If you're finding lots, that's how they turn into new construction. Sure, you can get in with a builder, and maybe if they find a lot that you get to list, then that's even better. You have to be real tight with the builder at that point, and they got to be doing a lot of volume for you to probably just get handed new construction listings. And a lot of those builders that are doing that high volume and building that many homes already have a guy. So getting in with, I got a small mom and pop builder. It's a husband and wife. The wife does all the paperwork. The husband's out there building the house with his team. He's like actually out there building it. They build probably 5 houses a year, and I've gotten real close with them, and I think that no matter what they do, whether it's selling one of their houses that they build, or if they have to move themselves, like I'm their guy. Not only am I working on the builder side, but if they want to buy property for themselves, they come to me, right? You're their person for real estate, no matter what. And that's, not only is that what you want for a builder, but really anybody in your COI is what you want, want that from, that commitment. So builders do a lot of real estate transactions every year. That's a good person to get snuggled up to, and you add value to yourself in their eyes by bringing them lots of land. And they ultimately end in new construction listings, whether it's to-be-built or spec homes. That's where you get your big check. You can get the small check off the lot deal, but you get the big check on the new construction. And then when you get your new construction listing, you got your sign in the yard, you're doing all the advertising, and a lot of times you get unrepresented people calling you that are interested in it, and maybe you can double in the new construction deal as well. You're the name behind it, right? So people that don't have an agent, they call you for information. So that's pretty much the deal and what I do. Finding the lots are key. You want to have a lot with good road frontage, it's level, and can perk, obviously. You want to hone in on a certain area, a certain county that you're going to be kind of hitting hard. Find a builder that builds a lot in that county, and then start bringing them lots. Do your pop buys to your builder, bring them cookies, bring them lunch, whatever you need to do for them to kind of get real tight with them. That's what you want to do, because you might do the most amount of business with your builder every year, rather than just your friends and family that you're trying to get referrals from. So that's kind of how that works. I don't know if we're kind of 9:38, so we have some time. Do you guys have any questions on how this process works? I don't know if this is good on kind of seeing the process, but
You explained it well.
yeah,
Yes, you
did I
did.
did a good job?
Awesome.
Okay.
Did a great job.
Awesome, thank you. Yes.
So when you're, are just shopping around to your builders,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you said once they're interested, you'll give them like the plat or email, all the information for them to go take a look.
Mhm.
But in that just preliminary conversation, how much information are you giving them before they decide whether they're gonna allow you to list with them or not, before you go into all that information?
Yes, so let's say you send a letter, someone calls you, hey, I'm interested in selling my land, can you please take a look at it? You go ahead, you get them all the questions, you got all your questions answered, so you got all the information on the lot, you do your CMA to figure out how much you think that lot is worth. You go see it. Sometimes you can go see it before you do the CMA because you kind of want to put your eyes on it to know what you're comparing it to. You can get a lot of information just from like topography maps and aerials, just available online. But you go see it, and then you kind of get an idea, okay, here's this piece of land, they've sent me the plat, they've sent me the soil work, I've gone and seen it, I've looked at the comps in the area, I think it's worth this much. You want to have a conversation with the landowner, but before you start telling your builder, before you even have the piece of land listed, like you don't want to, unless you have a really good relationship with your builder, you don't want to say, hey, I got a piece of land over on Scotchtown Road, this guy's the owner, here's a tax map for it, I know we haven't done any business together, but take a look at it and let me know if it's something that you want to buy, and I can get you, and I can help you purchase it. Well, maybe that builder has another agent, and then all of a sudden you get a call from their agent. Hey, I heard you talk to my builder. He said you had a lot over here. You know, could we work something out? We want to send you an offer on it. And then, you know, you kind of miss it that way. Or even worse, you already tell them all the information, who owns the land, and they can identify it themselves, and they go straight to the seller and cut you out completely. So that's why listing the lot, sometimes, if you don't have a good relationship with your builder, right when you're first getting started, listing the lot is really step one. If you don't have a builder that you can work with and trust to just send an off-market like cash offer to, getting it listed and then taking those 3 days before you put an MLS and then calling your builders. Because then you have it listed and no one can at least cut you out from your cut of the lot deal at the minimum. So unless you have a good relationship, I would be hesitant on telling people about your land lead before you have it listed. You know, once you start telling people about it, you know you haven't listed yet, well then you don't really have anything unless it's a builder that you know and trust and won't cut you out. You might be able to work something out with them. But getting the lot listed with a to-be-built, and sometimes I won't even go the cash offer route because maybe my few builders that I trust don't want it. I might be able to match up another builder to it. Well, I just want to get the lot listed and get the to-be-built, and I might not have a builder that does the to-be-built. Let's just get the lot listed, and then I'm going to call my builders that I know and try to find maybe some of the ones I haven't done any work with that have just, you know, stumbled upon, and try to work something out with them. You'll get once you start putting signs in the ground for your pieces of land, you'll get a lot of calls from builders and people like that that are looking to buy land. I mean, builders and developers probably buy more land than just the average person. So when you're putting signs in the ground, you're gonna be getting sign calls, and a lot of times those are gonna be from builders or people that want to build a house. So
Speaking of that, do you ever have one expire that you couldn't sell, or?
sure, I have land expire all the time.
Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes they just want too much for it, and maybe you do this deal where you get the lot and the to-be-built, and the price is just too high, and it expires, and you know, a lot of times if someone wants to sell their land, you can get your extensions on the listing agreement, and you just gotta keep, you know, beating on them for price reduction until it sells. You know, and you wanna set that expectation with them up front. When you do your CMA and you go see it and you ask your questions, hey, you want $100,000 for this piece of land? I only think it's worth, you know, 60. I'm willing to try to list it for you, but I don't think it's gonna sell for your price. And I'm gonna be giving you phone calls here, you know, 30 days from now, asking you to reduce your price. I'll give it a shot. Maybe we could find someone from Northern Virginia that just doesn't really know the market, and we could sell it overpriced to them, and they have a lot of cash. That's probably the best case scenario. We can try it, but I think I'm gonna be calling you in 30 days asking for a price reduction on this piece of land. And you would set that expectation up front, so it's not 30 days down the road and you're asking for price reductions. They're like, what the heck? If you set that expectation up front, it generally gives you a better relationship with your seller. So you're just not the real estate agent that's trying to beat the price down, trying to get it sold. At least you gave them the expectation up front. So that's kind of how that works. Yeah, that kind of goes into your talk track. Hey, let's listen at this price. We'll try to listen to be built on it. If you got a builder that you work with that will trust it, that you trust. But I think your lot's too high. Maybe we can sell one of these on it. I don't think we'll sell a lot outright. And I might be calling you in a few weeks to try to get that price down if we don't get any action on it. That's kind of how it works.
When a lot's been timbered, you just knock off a percentage of what the value is, or how do you judge that?
How do you calculate how much the timber's worth? To be honest, I don't really know myself. I'll go and I'll ask Mike. Most of the time, if I get a lot lead, I'll bring it to Mike right away and say, hey, I got this piece of land, they want this amount for it. He's like my first builder I bring anything to.
The smaller lots obviously is not really a big deal at all.
Right, smaller lots, sometimes it's good if it's clear. If it's timbered, then, and it looks like a bomb went off and there's just, shrapnel everywhere and stumps, then that devalues it quite a bit. I know it does, because then you gotta pay money to clean it up, grind all the stumps, and, get it looking nice again. It's a lot harder to sell those, so it does devalue the land. If it's like open field, well then, that's pretty desirable to people. People like the open field concept. Maybe they want privacy, maybe they want the trees. It kind of depends. Usually if it has great trees on it and it's not like thick brush and it's like kind of like the park-like setting, those are the best. Or if you got like open field, those are two like the most desirable pieces of property. I mean, think about what you would want if you were to build a house. What would be most desirable for you? Probably like a nice open pasture, or maybe you want some privacy, like some big oaks around there, that kind of deal. If it was just timber and you got, thin pines that are, super close together and it's hard to walk through and really see the property, maybe that's not as desirable. So maybe it's worth a little bit less. And you look at the comps in the area. Maybe there is a comp of a timbered, 5-acre piece of land that they sold for this amount. Then kind of what the comps show for timbered land. Yep. So that's kind of how I would handle that. But yeah, I mean, I asked Mike, you guys, if you have a builder, or if you want to ask Mike, Mike buys a lot of land, or if you have your builder that you want to use, you ask him. If it's someone that you know and trust, and you've done a lot of business with, hey, Mr. Builder, I have this piece of land here, it's timbered, here's all the info, here's the comps in the area, what do you think it's worth, what would you offer on it? They want this amount. Can you do that, or do you think it's worth less? Taking a step further, when you try to match up this cash offer to make it a little bit more enticing to the builder, you can do a new construction CMA, and you can say, or really that's really when you're bringing it to your builder. When you're bringing the land to your builder, you say, hey, I think this lot's worth this much. Here's my CMA for that. Here's also a CMA for all the new construction homes that have been built in the area. Houses on the same amount of land that have, maybe it's your 1,500 square foot rancher with 2-car garage. These are selling in this county for this amount. If you take that lot price and this is what they sell for, is there enough profit margin in there for you to make it work? And a lot of builders kind of want to see it that way. They want you to do the legwork on what you think they can sell their house for on it. So maybe they have a price in mind, maybe they've done the research on what they think they could sell for top dollar. Like, hey, in the builder's mind, they're thinking, if I can find a piece of land and build this house on it, I can get it for this amount. And to do that, I need to get the lot in this price range. So that's kind of what they're thinking. If you take a step further and you're like, hey, have this lot, we can get it for $50,000, they said they'd take 50, I ran up a contract today, they said they'd take it. I think we could buy it for 50, and I think we could build this house on it, and we can sell it for this amount based on the comps in the area. Do those numbers work for you? And then you're even providing more value to the builder. So, you know, I got one builder, and that's the first thing they asked me after I give them all the information on the land. Well, what do you think we can build on it? What do you see on this piece of land? You know, what are houses selling in the area? And I'm like, I'm not an expert. You know, is it built? You know, do we want to advertise a bigger house? Do we want to advertise a smaller house? You know, what am I looking for? And you really just got to, you know, see what's selling around the area, what's the most popular, and what sells the best. It's quickest, you know, least amount of days on market maybe is what you look at. So that's kind of how that works. The more value you can add to yourself and your builder's eyes, generally the more work that they'll do with you. But getting in close to the builder and, you know, going to see them and going to see their products and checking out their showroom and just talking with them, learning about their process, they see a lot of value in that, and that's kind of how you can get them to really trust you and know that you're their person. So, yep, get in with builders is good. Find them on signs, do searches in the MLS, call them up, bring them lunch, or sometimes if you list a lot, your sign's already in the ground, or you know, you're advertising everywhere, and they call you. You know, that's one of my questions that people call me about land is, well, what do you plan on doing with it? Are you a builder yourself? You plan on building on it? Or are you just someone looking to build a home for yourself? Do you want to just buy the land and maybe build on it later down the road? Is it investment? You know, that's I kind of figure out why the person's interested in the land when I get calls on my lot listings. So, yeah, that's
And
pretty
the
much how it
builder
works.
says to you, I am a builder, I wanna build something on it, I have an agent that I use to list the property.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go with that?
I say, all right, if you got someone that's gonna list your new construction for you, well then, that's great, that's awesome, good for you. But I only wanna work with people that will give me the new construction listings. Yeah, don't tell them about your lot
Right,
while you're trying to find your builder, right? When they tell you, yes, I'll list the new construction with you, then you tell them about the lot. You don't wanna tip them off and say, hey, I got a lot over on Scotchtown Road, I think it's gonna be great, do you wanna buy it? And then they're like, yeah, I wanna buy it. And then next thing you know, you're getting calls from their agent trying to put the deal together so they can get the new construction listing. You wanna kinda do the preliminary, if I find you lots, will you give me the new construction listing? And you want to get them to say yes to that before you start telling them about any land
right.
that you have coming down the pipeline. Yep. So kind of simultaneously, while you're, especially when you know, all you guys probably are just getting started with this, you probably haven't worked with any new construction listings or any builders yet. Simultaneously, while you're out here trying to find lots, which this is kind of the engine that makes the rest of it all work. So while you're out here finding lots, you want to also be calling builders, telling them that you're putting a lot of time and energy and effort into finding lots in that area. Anything that I find, will you give me the new construction listing on it? And then you might not, you can ask them that question before you even have any lots for sale, or be talking to any landowners. You can start having conversations with builders. Hey, I'm trying to get in the land. I'm gonna be putting a lot of time and effort and energy into finding lots. Whatever I find, I could bring to you before it hits the market. You know, you can say off market, and then just kind of using that 3-day grace period before you have to put in MLS, so at least you get the listing locked in. You can bring them stuff in that window, and it's not really off market because it's technically a listing agreement signed, but you're not advertising anywhere. You have 3 days. I can bring you land off market. If anything that I find and bring to you that works out, will you give me the new construction listing on it? And you can kind of start doing that and building out your builders in that area before you even get any land coming down the pipeline. A lot of people wait and they get their land and then when you get it listed, you're kind of in that 3-day period scrambling. Well, shoot, I want to match this up with the builder because I want to get the new construction listing, and you're scrambling, calling people, and it takes a lot of time before you find a builder that you know that will work with you and trust you and give you the new construction listing. Some of them would just be like right out the gate, yeah, sure, you know, whatever agent brings me land, I usually list with them. And maybe they work with a bunch of different agents. But yeah, locking in that builder and finding the land and trying to match it up with either your cash offer or listing one of their to-be-built homes as well as a piece of land. Not a lot of people know that you can do this, these two things for one piece of property, but you can. You can have the to-be-built new construction listing and a lot listing for the same piece of property. And that really helps, you know, you'll sound smart to the builder because no one else knows you can do this. Like, oh, you're gonna advertise my house and I don't even have to pay for anything? Yeah, sure, advertise my house on it, you be the listing agent. Yeah, if I find a buyer for your house, let's do it. I'll see if I can sell your house on it. I got this piece of land, the seller already agreed to advertise your home for sale on it. Let's price something out and see if we can get it sold. So then you sound pretty good to the builder. The seller loves you because you're getting them more exposure for it and trying to get what they want for the property. And it's just a win-win all across the board. And you can sell the house, you double in the lot, and you get, you know, new construction sold. So you do have to keep in mind that the new construction deals, they do take some time to actually happen. It takes, you know, depending on what kind of house you build, maybe 6 to 9 to 12 months for a builder to build a house. So that's why the lot deal is nice because you get paid right away, up front, boom. You get a quick paycheck and it's great. The new construction deal is, you know, a lot further down the road. So you know you got something lined up when they're done building that. But until then, I mean, you're kind of just in a waiting game until that closes. So you gotta keep that in mind. You know, the new construction deal isn't gonna hit right away. There's a lot of time that's gotta pass. But once you start doing it for 6 months or a year and you got a bunch of lots that you flipped over to builders and you just get the machine going, then, you know, a year from now, you'll have new construction closing and you'll have new lots closing, and it's kind of like everything's happening at the same time. When you just get started, it's gonna take some time for these first houses to close. Make sense? Cool. Anybody got any other questions? Pretty good? I did a good job explaining it?
You did great
Yeah.
job.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Finding lots is key. If you're driving around and you drive down a good road, looks beautiful, go back to your computer afterwards, pull up the tax records and see how many vacant pieces of land are over there. And like I said, really like 1 to 10 acre lots that are already cut up, ready to go, that you can probably get for like the 30 to 90K price range. These are kind of what builders, those smaller builders that are just doing the spot lots are really looking for. So if you can bring a builder 12 of those a year, well then you really got something going, you know. And you do that, you get your resale stuff on the side. It's just a compounding effect. You're getting lot closings, you're getting new construction closings, and you're still working your database and getting the resales. And that's really how you can create a pretty cool business that way. Yeah, cool.
Thanks, Jay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No problem, guys.
Thank you. Awesome job.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Feel free to give me a call if you guys have any questions.